The date was April 30, 1975, Easter Sunday. In a modest two-story house on Minor Avenue, the air should have been filled with the smell of roasting ham and the sound of children hunting for eggs. Instead, it became the site of a nightmare. Charity Ruppert, a 65-year-old grandmother, was thrilled to have her family home. Her eldest son, Leonard Jr., had arrived with his wife, Alma, and their 8 children. Yeah, 8. Ranging in age from 4 to 17. They were a typical bustling family full of life and holiday excitement. Staying in the house was Charity's younger son, James, at 41. James was a stark contrast to his successful brother. He was unemployed and struggling with debt, quiet, resentful, and increasingly unstable. An expert marksman who spent his free time at local firing ranges. While the children played and the adults chatted in the kitchen, James stayed upstairs in his room. He was enjoying the celebration. He was cleaning his guns. James felt like the black sheep. He was jealous of his brother's family and felt very, very stressed about it for some reason. His mother's constant nagging about his lifestyle was annoying him. As the family sat down for their Easter meal, James finally descended the stairs. He wasn't carrying a fork or a plate. He was armed with a 22 caliber pistol and a 357 Magnum. The scene is set. In the matter of minutes, the quiet neighborhood of Hamilton would be changed forever. James walked into the kitchen with his mother and brother were standing. And without saying a word, he raised his weapon. James entered the kitchen first. Without a word, he shot his brother and then his mother. There was no argument and no plea for mercy. The sound of the gunfire was muffled by the thick walls of the old house and the rainy weather outside. Hearing the noise, Leonard's wife Alma rushed towards the kitchen. James killed her instantly. Then he turned his attention to the children. He targeted the older children first, knowing they were the most likely to fight back or escape. He then found the younger children, some of whom were still dressed in their Easter best. In total, 11 people were killed. James used 4 different firearms, switching between them as he ran out of ammunition. After the final shot was fired, the house fell into a deadly silence. The table was still set for the Easter feast. Instead of fleeing or turning the gun on himself, James did something truly bizarre. He stayed in the house. He spent nearly 3 hours wandering through the rooms, with the bodies of his entire family. He eventually moved some of the weapons to make it look like a struggle or a different crime scene, though his heart wasn't really in the cover up. At 5:59 p.m., James finally picked up the telephone. He called the Hamilton Police Department and spoke with the dispatcher in a voice that was described as eerie and calm. "There's been a shooting," he reportedly said. When the police arrived at the Minor Avenue home, they found James waiting for them just inside the door. He surrendered without a fight, his face completely expressionless. As officers entered the home, they were met with a scene so gruesome that many veteran investigators were traumatized for years. The quiet brother had wiped out 3 generations of his own bloodline on a day meant for renewal and life. The legal battle that followed was as complex as the crime was horrific. His lawyers argued that James suffered from paranoid schizophrenia. They claimed he believed his family was conspiring to kill him and steal his inheritance. They pointed to the fact that he had carefully cleaned and prepared 4 guns the night before. This suggested as a well planned thing, not a sudden snap. In the end, James was found guilty of 2 counts of first degree murder, his mother and brother. But what about others? For the other 9 deaths, the wife and the children, he was found not guilty by reason of insanity. He was sentenced to 2 consecutive life terms. For years after the murders, the house stood as a grim monument. It was eventually auctioned off, but it gained a reputation for being one of the most haunted locations in Ohio. New owners reported hearing the sounds of children running and playing when no one was there. Others claimed to hear the faint sounds of pops like distant gunfire on the anniversary of the Easter Sunday. The house was eventually stripped of its dark history through renovations, but locals still crossed the streets to avoid walking directly in front of it. James Ruppert lived out the rest of his life behind bars. He never showed true remorse for the 11 lives he took. He died in prison in 2022 at the age of 88, taking the full depth of his dark motives to the grave. The Easter Sunday Massacre remains a chilling reminder that sometimes the greatest monsters aren't strangers in the woods, but the quiet relatives sitting right across from us at the dinner table.